Hi, everyone. The saga of World War II is quite an incredible story. It's a story of great tragedy and great change, especially in Europe. And it was mainly based on the fact that World War One didn't end so well for certain countries, especially the country of Germany. Because of the Treaty of Versailles and because of the fact Germany lost land as a result of the treaty, they felt like they got the short end. And that is one big motivation for seeing Adolf Hitler rise to power. In the 1930s, he became the Chancellor of Germany, and he deceived, he lied, he played all kinds of nastiness, all to get the power he wanted. He dissolved democracy in Germany, all for the purpose of one thing: having total dictatorial power. He was an evil man who had evil plans. Now, you have to understand, in the 1930s, America was in the middle of a Great Depression. And quite honestly, we didn't want to have anything to do with it. We were focused on recovering our own country. And so Hitler had the opportunity to make his move. He first took Poland, and then he continued to move, conquering nations. Now, here's what was so sick and evil about the man. He had one goal in mind: world domination. His way to do that was so evil. To this day, we are remembering that evil and never forgetting what happened. His focus was one group of people. He wanted a pure race called the Aryan race. Now, here's what's strange. He picked on one group of people, the Jews, mainly because they were the merchants. They owned the businesses and they owned the banks. So what did he do? He found them and carried them off into concentration camps. There was a story about one man who's alive still, who was at the President of the United States State of the Union message a few weeks ago. His story was told about being a young boy going on a train from a concentration camp on the way to another. And that train was stopped. And he was very scared. He was very nervous. And then he saw a gun and he saw a soldier that made him even more scared. And then his dad put his arms around him. He said, "No worries, son. It's the Americans." When I heard that, I almost started to cry, because that was when we finally got involved. We finally got involved in 1941 when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. In fact, the Japanese, when they bombed Pearl Harbor, the admiral of the Japanese fleet was quoted as saying, "We have awoken a sleeping giant." So during the 1930s, when Adolf Hitler had his might and his power, he was killing Jews. He was putting Jews in concentration camps. He was gassing them. He was doing horrific things to these people, moving his army into Europe, conquering nations with the eventual goal of, hopefully, he wanted to conquer the world. Something called blitzkrieg became a very important part of his military strategy. Blitzkrieg is another word for lightning war, where airplanes flew at rapid intervals, bombing and bombing and bombing and bombing. Great Britain experienced, London experienced the blitzkrieg. And it was all about the plan to conquer all of Europe. The US finally got involved when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. And then President Roosevelt and the Congress declared war on Japan. Eventually, victory came when on Normandy, the Allied forces landed and conquered that part of France and freed and liberated France, and then freed and liberated Europe. But the whole scheme of Hitler was to conquer one nation after another, bring his German machine, and I say German machine, to take one land after another and bring his evil fascist dictatorship, to start with a conquering of Europe and then a conquering of the world. If you ever have a chance to listen to his speeches, they will scare you. And you have to understand, during the 1930s, we didn't want to be a part of it. It wasn't until 1941, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, that we stepped up and we got involved. And thank God we did. The Axis powers, Japan, Italy, and Germany, joined together against the Allied powers, the United States, Great Britain, and even the Soviet Union became a part of it. They helped to fight against Germany, the Allies and the Axis. Fortunately, the Allies won. Now, folks, that is just an introduction. Thank you.